Welcome. In this video we're going to have a look at some of the more advanced BOM capabilities that Windchill supports with managing SolidWorks data. Now Windchill has a number of capabilities for advanced BOM management. These include support for the exclude from BOM marking of components, management of virtual components, mapping BOM item numbers to Windchill line of find numbers, managing configurations for parts and assemblies, large assembly mode, this means loading in lightweight visualization, as well as managing envelope components. Now in this video we're going to show you three of these capabilities, specifically the exclude from BOM capability. This means that you can create non-BOM items within the SolidWorks assembly. We can also look at virtual components and mapping BOM item numbers to Windchill line numbers. Here we are in SolidWorks and I'm going to create a new component using one of my Windchill templates, and I'm going to call it exclude from BOM, and we'll save that to Windchill and insert our new component to the assembly. We can see the new component added right here at the bottom, and we can change this to exclude from bill of materials, which is standard SolidWorks capability. So let's commit our changes back to Windchill. Now that all the changes have been committed to Windchill, let's have a look at the result. So first of all, let's have a look at the CAD structure that's managed by Windchill. So here now we can see that we have a new component, and this new component is now marked as exclude from bill of materials. If we're going to have a look at the Windchill part structure which drives the bill of materials report, and we look at the structure, then we can see that that part doesn't exist in the Windchill part structure. Now in Windchill we can do a comparison between the CAD structure and the part structure. And up here we can see that the exclude from BOM exists in my CAD structure, but it doesn't exist in my part structure, whereas all the other components exist in my part structure. In the next example we're going to look at virtual components. So Windchill has a specific preference that manages the behavior of how virtual components behave inside SolidWorks. When it's set to no, that means you can create virtual components and Windchill will ignore those. When we set this to yes, Windchill forces the user to externalize the virtual components that have been created in SolidWorks. So let's first have a look at the behavior with the standard preference. So in SolidWorks, when you create a new component within context, it creates it automatically as a virtual component. So here we have a virtual component created. Now you can see that because it doesn't have the create virtual, but it has in here save as external file as one of the options. So one of the options I have is I can now save this part to Windchill, save the changes of the assembly to Windchill, and I can keep the new file internally. And Windchill doesn't generate any new parts in my workspace for this, so I still only have the assembly in here. Now the other option I have now is to say, okay, let's save this as an external file, which will now save the component as a normal SolidWorks file in my Windchill workspace. So if we now save the changes to my assembly and we're having a look at the workspace, we can now see the new component generated in my workspace. Now let's see how this behaves when we have our preference set to yes. So let's change and set our preference to yes, and I'm going to make this preference locked. So now it's set to yes. So let's go back to the SolidWorks session and let's create a new virtual component. So we create a new part in session, same as we did before. Now we're going to save our changes. So keep it internally, same as we did before. But now Windchill is complaining that one of the components it can't manage because we haven't specified where we're going to save this yet. And that's our new virtual component, which now exists as a what we call a ghost object. So now I've got to decide what to do with that component before I can commit my changes to Windchill. So one of the options I have up here is to say save the part as an external file in the same way we did that before. and I guess it just forces specific working practices. So now I can save it. I don't get any messages anymore. And same as before, we now have a newly created part in my Windchill workspace. In the last example, we're going to look at how we can map item numbers from a SolidWorks bill of materials to what we call Windchill line numbers. If we're looking at the part that is related to a particular SolidWorks assembly, then within this part structure we can track what we call line numbers. And in SolidWorks these map to item numbers in the bill of materials. So here we are in SolidWorks. And in SolidWorks we can add a bill of materials to my view. I'm using a Windchill definition for the bill of materials, so I can map to Windchill specific metadata. And we can add this to my view. Now let's save this to Windchill. And let's check in the data. So we automatically check in all the changes that we've made. And if we now go back to Windchill and we refresh our bill of materials, then we can see that the line numbers have now been mapped to the item numbers in SolidWorks. In this video we have looked at specific capability regarding BOM management inside Windchill that works with SolidWorks, specifically looking at exclude from BOM marking in SolidWorks, management of virtual components and how they behave, as well as mapping BOM item numbers to Windchill find numbers. Thank you for watching the video.